Hello, Marty here. Glad you could join us at Warehousing Operations as a Career today. Let's talk about a few production positions. A segment of warehousing that's sometimes overlooked, yet a really good place to gain some warehousing experience and hear the words and phrases that we can use to our advantage. I think several production positions can make great and rewarding jobs and can provide us with an education that we can utilize as we grow in the industry. Let's look at the definition of production. A few examples from dictionary.com. Number 1, the act of producing, creation, manufacture. Number 2 is a really good one, something that is produced, a product. And number 6, the act of presenting for display, presentation, exhibition. A few things that we might see in the production world is like building parts, packing items together to produce another product. A good example is combining ingredients together to be used to make a cake. That could be considered a production task. Other tasks that could be like certain sizes of lumber that may be used to build like birdhouses. It takes several different sizes and several different shapes to build the birdhouse or finish the product. I know one gentleman that cuts long rebar rods into different sizes to be used to build different things, goes into different components. All these examples are just parts of a larger project or task that may be completed by many to produce an end product. The production segment of warehousing is generally great steady work, can be full or part-time, and one can build an opportunity for advancement as well. As with any job, of course, we have the responsibility for showing up on time, ready for work, and doing a good job at our assigned task. We've talked about the importance of asking questions and understanding what our trainers have taught us or tell us, and following those directions well. I really believe production is a great environment to learn and to be exposed to how a warehouse runs. Often several different tasks are being performed right there beside us, which affords us the opportunity to see how other jobs are performed, again, adding to our experiences. Yes, there's that experiences word. I caught myself using it then. And as we keep discussing experience, it's like education, and education is learning, and of course, in many instances, learning can be our stepping stones to other positions and better pay. Of course, better pay leads us to more responsibilities, like ensuring we're producing a product that is 100% correct, within specs or whatever you want to call it, and doing it right and efficiently as we've been instructed or taught to do. Production facilities can have their own safety opportunities as well. We could be using large machines, conveyors. I've seen a lot of mezzanines in the production world, or some type of special mechanical equipment. We'll have to learn things like lockout, tagout, or not using a particular switch, tool, machine, or piece of equipment that may have malfunctioned on the floor or just not be working right until it's been checked out and ready to go back on the floor. Electrical instruction, very important, preventing possibilities of like shock exposure. Hand guards and other guards that we'll need to understand their use and their precautions. Of course, these are just a very few examples that we could be introduced to with any position. It's always important to understand every safety precaution, and it's our responsibility to ask questions. No question is ever a wasted breath when it comes to our job, but especially a question regarding safety. I won't go off on one of my safety rants, but it's important to remember that almost every task performed at any position can be dangerous. Quick example, yesterday I pulled up to a facility, parked out back by the yard gate, out to the side, and as I was getting out of the truck, I almost stepped on a broken board of a pallet with a twist nail sticking straight up. Now I know any time that I'm anywhere that pallets are stored or worked to be on the lookout for broken boards and nails, yet I was like 1 second away from running a nail right through my own foot. I of course picked it up and tossed it back on the pile with the rest of the sorted wood so it could all be discarded. And I've been told many times, I've preached to many different groups to be careful around pallets being sorted, and yet it was not on my mind at the time. I'm just thankful I noticed it in that split second. I'm just saying we really have to be conscious of our teachings and be responsible with them pretty much at all times. A production facility can use several of the usual powered industrial equipments that we'll find in warehousing. Electric single jacks, double rider jacks, counterbalance forklifts or set-down lifts, narrow aisle lifts, and I've seen quite a few reach trucks or reach lifts used in the production world. The use of box cutters. Now there's a tool that can really cause accidents. It's a simple tool that many times is taken for granted, and it can get away from us pretty quickly. As we've learned, we need to stay off of, actually just ignore any equipment that we haven't been trained on. Don't move it, don't climb on it, and don't even think about using or operating any equipment or machine until it's been explained to us and a trainer's worked with us on it. It just makes sense. Okay, I'll climb back down from my soapbox and get back to talking about production. Remember, it's our intention to do something that we really enjoy and that supports our needs and our family's needs. So let's watch others and what tasks that they're performing. Let's learn every job around us and let our trainers, leads, and supervisors know that we really want more training, more responsibility, things like that. Now, it's going to be important that we do our assigned task well and to the best of our abilities so that we'll have that trust and relationship with our members of management that they'll encourage us and let us do other things. It's all about taking the next step, position and promotion, and experiences are going to that's what's going to get us there. I was at a startup meeting a couple of weeks ago. Just your typical topics were being discussed. The crew did a few minutes of stretching. A couple of really good safety topics was shared, and the supervisor talked about a sheet of paper for a request for time off and when he wanted them turned back in. As the meeting was breaking up, a gentleman asked what it took to be moved pretty much from a labor-intensive task, really the first position a new hire may be placed in such an operation, so as to learn how the production process really starts. The supervisor did a good job by asking him to come over to the receiving office and that they could talk about it. The rest of the shift got started, and the supervisor invited the employee in to explain and answer his questions. The supervisor explained he was excited that the employee was interested in other positions, while explaining that he was still learning the assigned task and that he'd only been performing it for about 2 weeks. He talked to him about how he'd like him to work on a couple of things, one being his attendance. I guess he had been tardy about 3 times in 2 weeks and had been cautioned about being out of his work area once or twice. The supervisor shared with me that he had seen real promise in the individual, and he felt the gentleman may be a bit bored with the job that he had presently, but that he didn't feel he could move him to the next station until he had mastered that job and showed that he was interested in a long-term position. It's so important that we understand to present ourselves really well, follow directions, and make it known that we're interested in putting our best foot forward in each task that we do. I assure you, the quickest way to the next position in our plan is to conquer each task and make our interest known by being one of the best employees in our group. I really like the production world. It's a great job, and it can present a wealth of opportunities if that's our intention. Our intention to use those experiences towards our next step. Sometimes it's hard as an employee to start out in a job we feel is beneath our abilities, especially if we feel we have the needed experience to do the job already. But I assure you, it's not a waste of time. If we know the job, it will be recognized by our employer. It's to their advantage to have us where we can produce the utmost efficiencies, right? Our performance should be seen quickly, and we'll reach our goal. I really believe it, that's the way it's going to work. Let's take a moment and review a few of the things discussed over the last several weeks and maybe answer a few questions that's been brought up. One thing that comes up in warehousing is Monday's attendance. I assure you, the quickest way to get noticed is to be on time, actually maybe a few minutes early every morning, and ready for work every Monday morning as well. Weekends are rough on us. We've worked hard all week. We have lake parties, sports events, family things going on, and that can be a bit taxing on Sunday and Sunday evenings. Yes, all that's true, but we have to work for the rest of our lives unless we've won the lottery or something like that. Our employer needs us there every scheduled shift, and Monday's no different. I mean, we needed work, we accepted the job and the shift, and we want to succeed, so let's admit Monday as part of the agreement. Oh, and another thing I hear a lot about is, a person wanted a job, they did the interview, they got the job, and then didn't show up for the first day of work. Honestly, it's okay to just tell the recruiter or whomever it is that we're speaking with that the position they're talking to us about just really isn't a good fit for us, but thank them for the time in discussing the position with us. Two things will happen. Someone that is a good fit for the position will be at work, and will be considered for something that fits us much, much better. When we accept a position we have no intention of showing up for, the company is a man or a woman short, and I have to feel we're not going to be offered something they may have had for us that would have been a much better fit. It's just better to be honest about it. That way they can put someone to work that really wants it, and they can offer us a job that's a much better fit for us. Another thing, and it's a difficult habit to get used to, is the time clock. It's really our responsibility to punch in and out correctly. We want our pay process to be seamless. We want it figured correctly and paid on time. We'd have to agree almost all payroll systems work flawlessly using the data that it's given. However, if we have missing punches, someone else is somehow going to be responsible for it. It just doesn't really make sense. It's understood we may not have used a time clock system before, but we may just be out of practice for whatever reason, but we should take that responsibility seriously. It's the first and last thing that we'll be doing every day. I assure you we're going to be noticed by our supervisor, and not in a good way if we struggle with our own responsibility of punching the clock, and he or she has to make corrections every week for us. This week I heard, worked with a gentleman that really struggled with his PPEs or personal protective equipment every day. He habitually would show up to work without the proper footwear or maybe his safety vest or his assigned tools for the day. He honestly just struggled each evening getting all of his stuff ready before he would dart out the door. He wasn't doing any of that intentionally, he just couldn't get it all together. Again, I have to believe it's our responsibility and will be noticed, appreciated really, if we're on time, punched in, and prepared to work at the beginning of our shift. Think of how much less stress we'll be carrying on our shoulders each day if we're ready to go to work and on time. I guess we better wrap it up. I really enjoyed talking to the production aspect of warehousing today, and I hope we hit on something that was of interest to you. Please feel free to leave a comment or suggest a topic on the website, or email me at host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com, and we'll try to get it on an upcoming episode. If you'd like to share an experience with us, let's set up an interview and share them with the group. Have a great week and practice safety in everything we do.